Columbus and Nashville. No, it's not an old railway, although I did a lot more research than you'd think to confirm that. There's a Louisville and Nashville Railroad and a Columbus and Ohio Railroad, but not a Columbus and Nashville Railroad. I'm kind of disappointed. Anyway, Columbus and Nashville are having referendums. Kind of the same referendum, a half-cent sales tax to fund transit. Don't get your hopes up. We're not changing the world here. Bus rapid transit is the biggest thing you can expect from these referendums. And they've been sketchy on the exact details. So let's keep those expectations low. But we're all transit fans here, so we should all be familiar with keeping expectations in check. For a bit of backstory, stop me if you've heard this before. Back in the 70s, the for-profit bus services were failing because cars. Cities had to step in and take over their operations or be left without any public transit. Not exactly an auspicious start, but they tried to make it work. Yes, there were attempts to greater things in the past. No, they never really amounted to anything. In Nashville's case, they have a commuter rail route which runs 6 times a day in each direction. The main train station is centrally located in downtown, so it's not bad, but it's just kind of alone out there, giving around 400 people a day a ride. In Columbus, they have a faux bus rapid transit thing which has a 10-minute frequency during rush hour, a small section that has dedicated lanes, nice, but not exactly rapid considering it's running with traffic, 90% of its route. But all of this is about to change, because transit referendums are on the ballot and are pretty likely to pass. So what's in these transit referendums? Well, again, they are very similar, with Nashville's being a lot more cautious and Columbus's being the best possible version of bus rapid transit. And that's coming from me, a person who rolls his eyes every time someone in the US mentions bus rapid transit. Why? Because my first reaction to hearing of bus rapid transit is to assume it's what Columbus already has. Mostly just a well-branded bus route that has higher frequency or something. But this referendum isn't that. It actually seems to be something substantial, like a real bus rapid transit system. Examining the planned system in Columbus, it links downtown Columbus, the state capital, and the Ohio State University with 5 planned routes. 3 that they are currently working on the plans for, and 1 that seems like it might be ready to go in a year or 2, the West Broad Street Corridor, BRT. The West Broad Street Corridor BRT goes by the state capitol and downtown on its way to the suburbs. So yeah, I can't hate that as a first project. I would have preferred linking up to the Ohio State University, but if West Broad Street Corridor is the one that can get built first, build it first. Anyway, looking at the mock-ups designed to sell the referendum, it looks very nice. Which, yeah, it's supposed to. Bike lanes and crosswalks aren't just some paint on concrete, elevated BRT stations that look to have level boarding. This is a pretty good set of bones to begin basing a transit system on, and the lives of the people of Columbus will be greatly improved by this bus rapid transit system, not to mention the additional bike lanes and sidewalks that will be built. This is a pretty good get, because you can't always get something that nice. For example, the other subject of this video, Nashville. In 2018, there was another transit referendum, and if I got into that referendum in any great amount of detail, that would be the entire video. Which probably indicates I should do a video on it, but that's not this video. This video is about the 2024 referendum. To make a very, very long story short, the 2018 transit referendum in Nashville can be summarized in one word: traumatizing. Here's an ad from the against side of that transit referendum.
The city's transit plan, a mess. First $5.4 billion, now up to $9 billion or maybe more. And here's the kicker, it does next to nothing to fix our traffic congestion. It tears up our streets for over a decade. A total mess. And you know who's going to pay for it? You are. We'll pay one of the highest sales tax in the nation, higher than New York. Everyone here will pay more for their everyday life. You might as well change our name to, well, Taxville. Paid for by No Tax for Tracks, Wayman Tipton Treasurer.
Yeah, that's some organized resistance right there. It lost by a big margin, but I didn't show you that ad for giggles. I showed you that ad so we could compare the tidal wave of resistance in 2018 to what's happening now. In 2018, it was one of those wacky liberals are up to their kooky ideas again, and this time they're messing with your taxes, typical of a high-budget conservative campaign. In the year of our Lord 2024, the Committee to Stop an Unfair Tax, yes, that is their name, has provided us with this piece of media. And I mean, just look at it. AI slop, obviously. And the pasted-on Mayor Freddie O'Connell face just really adds that touch of class that says, we have no money. I mean, if I was supporting a campaign and it did this, I would pack it in. It is the best piece of art on their website, and I am using that term very liberally. So, you've seen the step down in funding. I assume this is going to pass, but that's definitely not a given. There's also that this is a sales tax. 0.5%, but combined with Nashville's current 9.25% sales tax, you could see why even a transit supporter would be hesitant to guarantee it. 9.75% as a sales tax is a lot. Remember, kids, don't fall for that eliminating the income tax or flat tax nonsense. You'll end up paying nearly 10% in sales tax and maybe getting some bus rapid transit in return. But that's enough about the actual election background. Let's talk about the improvement plan, which has an unusual branding. All access. Get it? Nashville's a showbiz town, so to get anywhere to show, you need an all-access pass. Get it? You may be cringing right now, but to me, this is genius. This is an actual piece of art. Not this. This. After the problems in 2018, there is only one mention of bus rapid transit in the whole document about the referendum, mentioning that some of the 54 miles of high-capacity corridors will be bus rapid transit. And that's more of a footnote to the page All Access Corridors. That's right, bus rapid transit has been rebranded as All Access Corridors, which I also approve of. If someone has blanketed the name of a mode of transportation in disrepute to where it becomes a liability, feel free to rebrand. Especially with such an area-appropriate name. All Access is pretty awesome. The opponents of the measure must be having such an AI-generated fit. Imagine the reporter turning to them and asking, "Why do you oppose all access corridors?" So let's talk about Nashville's all access corridors. Are they going through dense areas? Yeah, and they are actually going to important places. The airport, the main tourist area, the Eye of Sauron, Vanderbilt, Tennessee State University, and the state capitol. It does what it's supposed to. I mean, only lines on a map now, but after what happened in 2018, I can understand the reticence to be too detailed. Along with those all-access routes, the plan also promises increases in current service. 4 new express routes, 17 new park and ride lots, and 285 bus stop upgrades. Hearing about those highlights and the new all-access corridors, some of you might be dismissing this as less a paradigm shift and more of a best possible version of a bus-only transit system. And you know what? That is kind of a paradigm shift. Transit in a blue city and a red state is not something to be taken for granted. I just covered Prop 479 in Arizona, where the state legislature was so petty that they banned extending light rail to around the state capitol. Likewise, in Ohio, we find similar pettiness when a legislator tried to straight up ban bike lanes in big cities. What my point is that red state legislators are petty and mean when it comes to dealing with blue cities and transit. Which brings me to Indianapolis. Yeah, I bet you weren't expecting that twist. Indianapolis held roughly this election in 2016. 0.25% sales tax versus half, but it was for the same thing. It was going to fund a bus rapid transit system and the expansion of mass transit in general. It was meant to build 3 new bus rapid transit lines through Indianapolis. The first line, the Red Line, came online in September 2019. In March of 2020, every transit line on planet Earth crashed because COVID and recovery is very much an ongoing process. It also delayed the development of this project until right about now, when the second BRT line opens, the Purple Line. Not kidding, the Purple Line opens October 13th, 2024. That leaves one more bus rapid transit line to construct, the Blue Line. Enter State Senator Republican Aaron Freeman. He wants to undo that referendum and end bus rapid transit in Indianapolis. Aaron Freeman is fundamentally opposed to mass transit as a concept.
Representative Hamilton, you, me, and your 2 colleagues that have asked me questions before this have a fundamental disagreement about the future going forward. I, in 2024, see fixed modes of transportation as a 19th, 20th century way of looking at the world. I can on my phone now summons a car and take me anywhere I want to go in minutes.
Hear that, everybody? We don't need mass transit. We have Uber on our phones. Yeah, that is stupid, but no, I'm not going to get into it. If you want to argue it out in the comments about your favorite reason why this is stupid, go ahead. Mine is capacity. Aaron Freeman is an idiot, but a useful one. He illustrates the tyrannical hold that Republicans in red states exercise over blue cities, like Indianapolis, like Nashville, and like Columbus. You may think this is an exaggeration. It is not. Freeman made this explicit earlier this year when he tried to kill the development of further bus rapid transit lines in Indianapolis with SB 52.
Senate Bill 52 does two things. One, it until July 1 of 2025 puts a moratorium on to study dedicated versus shared lanes. The second thing it does is an agreement, frankly, between me and the city of Indianapolis.
This would kill development of the Blue Line by halting work on it until July 1st, 2025, at which point the matching grant offer from the U.S. government would have expired. He tried to cloak it by saying study, but there's a moratorium in place while the study is going on, so he's just trying to cover his butt. Oh, and the specific deal between him and the city of Indianapolis? He was really angry that there were no turn-on red signs, so he wanted to ban them. Not kidding. Link to SB 52 in the description if you don't believe me. Now, good news, the city of Indianapolis got a deal with Freeman to reduce the percent of the Blue Line that would have dedicated right-of-way for him to drop this bill. That is good news. Indianapolis gets to have the bus rapid transit network they planned back in 2016. The bad news is they had to reduce the effectiveness of their plan to appease a crazy Republican with almost no guarantee that he won't try to kill it again in the future. What I want the people of Columbus and Nashville to take away from this is that you should take what you can get while you can get it. You don't know when Republicans are going to become tyrants and decide that they make the best decisions. Not the people in Columbus or Nashville or Indianapolis, state-level Republicans. So you take what you can get when you can get it. This isn't all about bus rapid transit. It's also about safety. Both plans prominently feature Vision Zero. If you aren't familiar with it, it is a movement to reduce traffic fatalities and injuries to zero by making our roads as safe as possible for everyone. Which, yes, is a goal of transit. The goal of these projects, beyond moving people around more efficiently, is to have a safer society. The sidewalk improvements, the bus lane improvements, and the bike lane improvements aren't just there for aesthetic reasons. It's to try and save lives. During the debate on Aaron Freeman's bill to kill the blue bus rapid transit line in Indianapolis, Cassandra Crutchfield came forward to speak. Her daughter died when both she and her mother were hit by a car on Washington Street, where the blue line is scheduled to run.
We need the big changes that the Blue Line will bring to make Washington Street significantly safer for pedestrians, cyclists, and vehicles. The Blue Line project is not part of a war on cars. Instead, it will be a big move towards equality for everyone, no matter how you move on Washington Street.
Moving testimony from personal experience. Would you like to see how Aaron Freeman, the guy who was trying to kill the Blue Line, reacted? Whatever you were expecting, it's worse.
I just want to say my heart is broken for you. I'm so sorry for your loss. And I appreciate your courage for being here today to stand for all of those who are voiceless in that community. Thank you.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He could care less. Republicans in Indiana could care less about the improved safety that the Blue Line is going to bring to the residents of Indianapolis. That's why I'm telling people in Columbus and Nashville to vote yes on these transit initiatives. The safety improvements are important, and the state isn't going to provide them because Republicans just don't care. The plans, while not terribly ambitious, provide the bones of a transit system that can be built off of. Beyond that, they are being built with the safety of residents in mind. Vote yes on issue 47 and the Transit Improvement Program in Nashville. Oh, and just in case you were curious about Aaron Freeman's main motivation for this, I don't have that. But I do have his campaign donation records, so we can see that at least. Mr. Freeman has received around $93,000 in his career from Ray Kilman's Auto Group, which has 10 auto dealerships across Indiana. Those 10 include one location on Washington Street where the Blue Line is scheduled to be built. For those of a more conspiratorial mindset, it almost looks like a car dealer was paying a state senator's campaigns so that said state senator would obstruct public transit improvements. Almost. I'm History Sock, and I'll see you at the next committee meeting.